Good morning and welcome to Sunrise on this lovely Saturday morning.
14th of March 2026. Well, let me confirm that.
It is.
It's confirmed, right? Yes, it's 14th. Yes, just to be sure.
Are you getting old?
As I was saying, I was just confirming that it's March 14th.
Oh my God, goodness.
A whole 17-year-old like me.
All right. And, you know...
By the way, she's Joke Rogers. I'm Ayo Makinde.
I think they know that already. But for those who are just tuning in now, you've not seen us before. Indeed.
Yeah.
As he said.
Joke, before we get into the play today, I had reason to travel to Ibadan yesterday.
Yeah.
And the road, tempting as usual.
Tempting.
Yeah.
I hope you didn't do over 100 or 120.
No, I did. There is no speed limit, but I gave myself speed limit. At least I didn't see any.
But the road is good, eh?
Oh boy.
Right. Yeah.
However, on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, I don't know for how long it's been there, but for the first time in my life, I counted about 7 checkpoints. On Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, checkpoints, expressway. Is this the way we're going to have, checkpoints on the coastal roads?
Well, safety is important.
No, checkpoint. It's not road safety checkpoint. It's your people. Checkpoint. And if they park you like this, you need to pay toll gate. 7. And
were you stopped?
No, of course not. Thankfully. And a good number of people were not stopped. But the fact that they were on the highway was a bit shocking for me.
Yeah, but well, it's mixed feelings really, because you've also heard in recent times that there have been security issues along the highway. For some times people complain.
Which one? Lagos-Ibadan Expressway?
Yes, kidnappings here and there, all that. So perhaps, I don't know, it's a way of
curtailing that.
Okay. And then they do have people they're looking out for. I don't know if criminal is written on people's heads, but they do have their way.
You are not a trained policeman, so you won't know. You won't know what
because
we see,
they do have people that they're looking out for. Sometimes they stop you to stop someone.
Yes.
Do you understand? You're not the target. So I don't know.
It's not. They had barricades on the road. So this explanation makes a bit of sense. However, is that what also happens when you are going out of Nigeria? The fellow I was having conversation with said he loves road travel, but he was dreading it because he's going to encounter between Lagos and the moment he gets out of the Nigerian border, he's going to encounter at least 40 checkpoints.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, 40 checkpoints? Why? He said, you could stand at one checkpoint and be seeing another 3 ahead of you. And he said that one commercial vehicle driver one day said to him that the fact that, so when he gets on the road, he has to have some cash, some 50 to 70,000 naira cash on him that he's going to be distributing to people from time to time. So but the moment they leave Nigeria, no more checkpoints. And I'm beginning to, I began to ask myself, what exactly is going on here, Joke? What could be the issue here? Is it something that we don't know?
Or maybe it was just for that particular time. You don't travel all the time, so possibly there was something going on.
It is a permanent feature. Well, I could be wrong. If you have any such experience, please share with us.
Let us know. We do have
Let us know.
eyewitness portal that you can send.
Email address in front of you right now is another one that you can use.
So let us know.
I don't travel all the time internationally or even locally. I don't travel all the time. However, if it is different at other times, maybe it's because it is fasting period. There are some people who are fasting, they need something to break. That I don't know, but just give us the information. So much about that.
Oh wow, this Middle East crisis as we said, we don't know when it's going to end. But Nigeria has begun evacuation of our fellow nationals from Iran. As with other countries, you know, I know Britain too was doing that, and some other European countries. So we've started that evacuation to get people away from Iran, because we don't know how long this war is going to take.
And we don't know what areas it's going to affect. With the latest bombing on Tehran and all, it looks like we don't know for how long they're going to sustain the safe zones, not bombing residential areas and all of that. And we also know that, going by our experience in Nigeria, terrorists use soft targets for cover. So, and by the way, the spin-off of what is happening in that area is the fuel price hike.
Yes, please. I mean, that is also...
Of course, before we came on air, you saw that Nigeria Economic Summit Group position that says Nigeria may be earning some 20 trillion or so.
But does it trickle down?
Wait now. Good news first. Or you sour it with something else. So anyway, you're going to be making a lot of money in trillions from, the increased crude oil, sales and all of that, because now price per barrel has risen above 100 now.
Yes.
100, dollars now. So a lot more money is going to be coming in because of the quantum or the quantity of barrels that we are selling as a country. The flip side is what is worrying a number of people. In fact, as I said this morning, Joke, I bought fuel at 1,244 Naira per liter.
Wow.
This is me. I won't mention the name of the fuel station.
Is it in this area?
Yes, on my way. It's on my way to work.
On the express, off the express?
Along the expressway.
Okay.
Along the expressway. You don't know my house, so it's okay. But it's within, and my house is just about 20 minutes away from here. So you get that. So I bought at 1,244.
Wow.
Someone else that I was speaking with said she was going to get fuel at a place where they were selling at 1,230 per liter. That really isn't the problem. But two issues have arisen. One, in fact, the executive I was speaking with before I came on air said, look, I couldn't, in good conscience, right, say to anyone who is working with him, she can't afford to allow them come to work more than 3 times a week because of the cost of fuel. And I don't know if all the commercial vehicles have CNG activated in their vehicles, because it is only natural that they are also going to increase their wares, their services and all of that. So that is what. Secondly, the question a number of people are asking, and I don't know if we'll be able to ask that question today, is how come Nigeria, a crude oil producing country, is increasing cost of fuel price? Is it happening in Ghana? Is it happening in Saudi Arabia? Is it happening in other
It's happening everywhere.
I mean, that
other fuel producing countries, you mean? Okay, yeah, I get that point.
Okay, so is it also, are they also increasing pump price of fuel in Saudi Arabia, in Ghana? I don't know. If you are there, please let us know, so that at least we know that we are not alone.
Yeah, but I think as with, everything, our major problem, which has always been, the private refineries are there, but all those other countries, all producing countries, I suppose that they have working refineries such that they probably don't have to increase.
We have a working refinery. In fact, you heard that, I forgot Mr. Billy Gillis Harris.
Multiple working refineries.
We have multiple working refineries. Even if one of them is producing petrol, we have working refineries. Yeah. And in fact, one of them, Mr. Billy Gillis Harris, I remember him saying in one of our interviews that Dangote refinery is our savior. Otherwise, we'll probably be buying at 3,000 Naira per liter today. But hey, here we are. So that question is still there. We're still asking that question.
I think that question too. There was, I think it was, there was one of our special reports on this fuel price increase from Kaduna State, and that's the question the consumer too was, asked. Exactly, it's as if she read your mind. That how are we a fuel-producing country.
No, oil.
I mean, a crude oil-producing country. We have refineries in our country, and we're still experiencing rise.
The only explanation that I could give anyone
that she does not understand.
The only explanation that I could give anyone was that, look, crude oil internationally is denominated in dollars, not in Naira. And consequently, whatever happens to crude oil in Saudi Arabia or in US, in anywhere, affects our own as well. What I couldn't answer is, how come we cannot produce our own internally? But anyway, you know what? So what are we talking about this morning, Joke?
Reimagining leadership through gender lens.
Especially because it's Mother's Day tomorrow. So yes, happy Mother's Day.
In advance.
No advance. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, look at me and greet me.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you very much.
Oh, they say it's mothering, not murdering. Oh, not murder. Mother, your mommy.
Then we have, we just had a snippet of that. Iran under fire, the expatriate perspective.
Yeah, some perspectives that we may not have, but which we need to get better.
And then end of Naira devaluation.
Especially because of what the CBN governor said. There are those who say, okay, that's a macroeconomic issue. Is it backed by any theory? How about the macro-micro nexus? We'll find out more about that.
And lifestyle, loving your body.
You will find out how to love your body today. Today.
And then we have
the artist of the week. Let's just say...
He, she.
He's a... She. Say he.
Is he he or
she?
Which one?
She.
Have
you heard that to some of our colleagues back in time?
You sound ridiculous, honestly.
Some of our people, when we want to read this, here is the news. So, we'll find out when we come back. So, in the meantime, do me a favor, grab your cup of cocoa.
Yeah, and your cup
cocoa,
of...
or cocoa.
He left
or
me
water, or whatever it is. I will be right back with you.
Right, let's get right into it. And we're reimagining leadership through the gender lens. We do know that we've been celebrating women this month of March. Women's Day, International Women's Day, was March 8th. But the entire month of March, we use it to celebrate women. Someone asked, a younger colleague asked during the week that, why we're always celebrating women. I said, you men too, celebrate yourselves. That why is it so? It's only women.
I'm just going to keep a straight face.
Yes, they said it's the women that are pushing to celebrate women. When is Women's Day or Father's Day? You men to gather that and say you are celebrating.
Until we also start until we also start doing what's that thing that the National Assembly, women are asking for in the National Assembly now? Special seats.
But you already have all the seats now. Which special seat are you looking for?
One special seat.
You have all the seats.
We don't. There are some places that we don't want any seats.
Even
maternity room, we don't want any seats. We don't want any seats.
Try and be pregnant for a whole night.
Did you hear what I say? Maternity room.
There
we
you are.
don't want any seats. Labour, we don't want any seats.
Everyone, can you listen?
We don't want.
Listen. You see, that's where you shoot yourself in the foot.
No, there is no gun.
even with that. Like President Tinubu said, he did not put God to opposition parties that they should come to APC. He say, it's good here, come along.
Yes.
Anyway, so women's participation in governance, as we all know, is significantly low. There's always, canvassing for women to, come into governance, to participate more. And I think they've been trying to do that. But over time, we do know that, it's a lot of men. Politics is essentially a man's game, or governance was seen to be a man's game. Even in the olden days, in the 1800s and all that, women rarely participated. In fact, they were not allowed to. They were not allowed to vote. They were not allowed to participate in anything. But now, we're in these times where we have seen that women too have the brain power and the imagination and the willpower and substance that is required to lead. And some have said they often do it better. I'm just saying, I don't see anything.
I didn't.
So, but with female representation in the National Assembly essentially below 5%, despite being a signatory to the International Gender Equality Convention and having a national gender policy that recommends 35% affirmative action. There was a president that was trying to get that up. I think Goodluck Jonathan. I think he was really championing that too. These commitments have not been fully implemented or codified into law. So reimagining leadership through gender lens in the country is shifting from a call for fairness to a recognized strategic imperative for national development. As of early 2026, stakeholders are moving beyond just increasing numbers to fundamentally redesigning how power is exercised and institutionalized. So, Ayo, where do we go from there?
We go straight to the conversations because we have questions that you don't have answers to. So let's begin with Nkoyo Toyo, who is a lawyer and at one time member of the House of Representatives. Thank you for joining us this morning, madam. I hope you're not muted. Okay. All right, go ahead. So, first of all, let me be the first to say to you, Happy Mothering Sunday.
Same to you too, but I would say it's a happy month for all women across the world.
Oh, well, I'm saying it to you. So maybe
Thank you.
the next one will go to Joke and other people around me because I don't know what it means, what it takes to be a mother. But looking at this conversation, first of all, that let's begin with that conversation around more seats or spaces for accommodating women more in politics, where Joke started from, talking about the representation in the National Assembly below 5%. And even the state houses of assembly, I doubt, well, I'm not sure, but I doubt if they are not the same, perhaps even worse at those levels. What is your take? How well would you say we are doing in that space, giving voice to women institutionally?
On the one hand, Ayo, I wish I could celebrate with you the month because just listening to Favor's music, looking at the optics, the good woman is the one who suffers, as against the woman who is making up the rest of the video, which I don't understand quite well. I'm looking at this from a gendered lens. These optics also tell and speak to the story of where women are societally and why women's situations are increasingly not a reflection of the strength and purposefulness of the Nigerian women. I personally do go to a lot of conferences where I come across people who said, "Oh, Nigerian women, you guys are so strong, so powerful. You come across as very, very established, and yet you have only 4%. It's embarrassing. It's difficult to explain. Um, I don't think it's something you can tell anybody else where, particularly when you're sitting with a Rwandese or a Senegalese or a Ugandan or a Kenyan who have more than 20, 30, up to 60% sometimes in some of their institutions. It's difficult to explain the huge numbers, even in terms of the wealth that reside in the women of Africa. Much of it resides with the business women in Nigeria. And yet those same women somehow don't make it across to the decision-making tables in the formal sense of governance that we have in the country. So this is really worrisome. And I think that it isn't just a matter of where the women are, it's a question of where is the country. The country itself is a poor reflection of its strength, it's a poor reflection of its capabilities. And in actual sense, I think all of us should mourn at where we are as a nation. The choice women have made lately is to try and go past all those structural. I call it structural because I have been very actively involved in the political landscape of the country, having run for the House of Representatives a couple of times and for the governorship of my state, Cross River State. I do know how the political parties work. I was once a member of the National Assembly. I do know how the National Assembly itself works. The relegation of issues of gender equality, and remember, we're dealing here with gender lens, so we have to use the language of gender. Gender equality speaks to the effort at beginning to see ourselves as human beings, equal citizens of the country, as recognized by the fundamental human rights of the Chapter 4 of our Constitution. Therefore, having gone through all of these spaces, there are structural issues. We often speak about the gender norms that hold us back. We come from a patriarchal society, culture, religion, social status, and all the other things that hold us back. That's just one level of the problem. The more difficult level of the problem are the structural ones, where we go into a political party and turn the big man into the party. The party organs and everything works purely for the purpose, premise of the big man. And therefore, if the big man doesn't speak, the party doesn't speak. And that's where the bottleneck to women's engagement lies. So, in an attempt to go past that bottleneck, where it is the big man's mentality that decides who gets into politics, women moved to try and get law to compel the country to go beyond the big man. And as you can see, that law itself is not moving as quickly as we want. Even if we eventually do get the reserve seats, I'm almost concerned, let me say, that 7 elections. And because this is going to be a very deeply contested election, where the consensus clause in the new Electoral Act is going to determine who becomes what, we may not see 4% in this election. We may even see less than 4% as women try to get seats and tickets in both the main political party and the opposition.
You know, the issue you just raised, my mind kept going back to the structural issues that you raised. And structural, by structural, you spoke specifically about the political parties.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like this advocacy for 35% recommendation is dead on arrival because the recruitment system, which is the political parties, are not even embracing that. But we have a number of other people who are going to join us, Choke.
Right. So we have Hansatu Adegbite, who is a gender advocate and women economic empowerment specialist. And we also have Juliet Benite, International Director, Training Institute for National Transformation and Women Leadership Expert. They both join us from our Abuja studio. Welcome, women. You welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, women, and thank you for joining us. We just had, a robust conversation with Mrs. Nkoyo Toyo on that, and we spoke about gender structural issues, which Ayo just spoke to now, and a problem with the recruitment process, because that was also going through my head. Now, if I could start with you, Mrs. Hansatu Adegbite. I mean, our recruitment process, as Ayo said, could be dead on arrival because, I mean, it's one thing for the women to show up and say, look, I'm available, I want to participate, I have a rich CV, I have that, I have this. And then she still has to go up against several other, candidates to be able to even get a ticket, to be able to contest a particular seat or particular position. I mean, that in itself is hard, I believe. And maybe if you just have 2 or 3 women going up and you just have, some other men too, the delegates electing who is going to be the party's candidate is another thing entirely. So it's almost as if the woman is up against the wall, unless the party is vocal and the party leadership is vocal and vehement about the fact that we must have a woman in that seat. So please, do the best you can. I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
My understanding of the reserved seats bill is that women will be competing amongst women.
Right.
So we all understand that no man will want to give up his seat. And the only reason this has also become a need is because there are a lot of barriers for women on decision-making tables and leadership tables in the political space. And so the reserved seats bill has worked in other nations where you know that because of patriarchy, they won't give up those seats. So you create parallel seats, which means that in every state of Nigeria, there will be a seat that is added to parliament with the condition that that seat can only be occupied by a woman. So that's why they are reserved seats. So they are in addition to what exists. But the only advantage is that the only people that can compete for that seat are women. So it can be women from all the political parties competing for that one seat. So a man cannot compete for that seat because it is reserved for women only. So really, there will be a political process. It's just that women are competing amongst themselves. But I will mention that we have seen that in the private sector space here in Nigeria, when you look at leadership, it has worked excellently well in various sectors and industries. And we are all benefiting from it as Nigerians, in our economy, in our GDP, and the rest. Women in leadership in the private sector are doing excellently well. So why not in the political space?
Right. And your thoughts as well, Mrs. Benite?
Good morning once again.
Good morning.
Okay, and Ayo. The reality, like Asatu has said, is that women leadership politically, it's a little bit more dicey in the sense that the portfolio of such decision making, it's on a larger scale. Howbeit, we have seen women performing in the private sector, and we have seen the success of such women. And therefore, we need to also begin to find ways to begin to educate women of the possibility of these offices. It's one thing for them to know that, okay, there's a bill there. How many women are aware that such an opportunity exists, number one, and how many women have the courage? Remember, we live in an ideological world. And like we were having a back conversation, a lot of women, even at the leadership level, as they climb up in leadership, how many of the younger women are we raising up? The ideology that women can lead must become ingrained even in the young lady. That as I'm rising up as a woman, I'm rising up into leadership. And that leadership includes political leadership. The political leadership pathway is a little bit different from the social aspect or the private sector. Because with political leadership, there's a lot of capitals involved that the woman must know how to harness the capital, social capital, economic capital, and how to engage within society and make herself relevant beyond her CV. People do not understand CV at the grassroots level. And that's why the men play a little bit differently, because they know that truth. And so we are in a nation where poverty is at a very high rate. And people are playing on people both emotionally and with their poverty. So how do we augment that even as women? And I tell people that you need to know how to convert your charity capacity into a weapon of leadership. Because women are doing so much, but they've not been able to convert what they are doing into leadership and governance. Because the bedrock for every political engagement starts at the grassroots level. And it's not starting at the top.
For me,
you need to change your garment.
Issue, madam. My apologies. That poses an issue.
Yes.
If we have, because, for instance, one question that I was going to ask, and I'm going to ask you, and perhaps even take it around in other ways. We must have at least two that I remember, 2 Mother's Days in a year, We have International Day of the Girl Child. We have International Women's Day. And in fact, Joke just reminded me that it's the International Women's Month in this month of March. And we have, of course, decided to give all of that attention there. How do we convert these optics into institutional framework, going by what Honorable Nkoyotoyo said earlier? How do we convert those stuff, those opportunities, those eyeballs, those attention that we get into soft or even hard infrastructural framework that can help, at least balance out this advocacy for 35% gender representation and all of that?
Okay, the discussion has been on for too long and it's time for action. In 2026, the focus was rights, justice, and action. And I believe, like you rightly said, each of these months, especially for the fact that it's annual, is specific and is fixed. Beyond this month, we need to now educate. I will not overemphasize that the fact that education cannot be underemphasized. The framework of the mind of the woman is a little bit different from the framework of the mind of the man, not in the issue of intelligence or education, but in operations. And so for us to get mileage out of this fact of this 35% even affirmation, which as far as I'm concerned, it should even be 50-50. Let's compete squarely, because there are a lot of women who can compete with men. But the how to compete, we also need the how. And so in this month of that girl child, as I was looking through the day, I saw that a lot of emphasis need to be put in place on processes of educating women. For example, Her Excellency, Ambassador Nkoyo, has gone through some processes. So frameworks around her, okay, you went through your process, what are the things that other young ladies should learn or unlearn? Because whether we like it or not, no matter how much I rise educationally as a woman, when it comes to politics, you need to descend. And so that emotional quotient of understanding the framework of change and how to interact both with men and community at the lowest level is also a practice that we have to learn. Women are more, we have the population. So population is not the problem. Economic, yes, but even in economic, number can create a multiple streams of entrance into a gate where interests can be addressed. So these actions, justice, and all that we are talking about, we cannot be mentioning them. We need to create institutions around them.
But
it
goes back to that question of how. Let me ask, Ambassador.
That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you how.
Yeah, just a second, because I mean you have been Honorable Ambassador. I don't know, but anyway, you have been in this saddle, as an ambassador, as a member of the National Assembly. You've been in politics and all of that. The question we have asked this morning, and I'm still asking, is: do the political parties, do they need a rule? Shouldn't they be able to say, okay, let's move away from this patriarchy that we've been practicing all this while, let's try something a little new? Shouldn't this whole advocacy, this 35% advocacy, affirmative action, shouldn't they start from the political parties first? If that could happen, when that happens, it is only automatic. It's only expected that the politicians themselves will just know that, look, if we have 35% representation in our political parties and that we are putting out 35% of our candidates as women, it goes to show that everybody else is going to have to do the same. Ambassador Toyo, that's for you. I hope you're not muted because I can't hear you.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Please go ahead. I can hear you now.
Yes, thank you. I was just going to say that all the constitutions of the political parties do actually provide for some certain quotas. At least there was a time I was very much actively involved in the comparative exercise across the existing political parties at the time. they all do have some level of quotas. But as you know, with our country, oftentimes people do not even follow the rules they themselves make. And that's the real challenge. The political parties don't follow their rules, and consequences do not exist. That is why you notice that we wanted to have the constitution directing the political parties to do what they're supposed to do. But just to say that the other thing that's not happening is that because the votes do not count, if the votes counted, the political parties will not be joking with women. They are the major voters and they are dedicated voters. They will go there in the morning, wait until the exercise is done before they leave. And because the parties cannot account for where their votes come from, then they do not reward the constituency that gives them the vote. So that's the second point. But the third point, too, is that women themselves have to now learn the game. And what's the game? There's a verse in the Bible that says, Occupy until I come. Women must move into the political parties massively, not just at the level of being the singers, the dancers, and all of that, massively getting into the political space and being disruptive. What I mean disruptive is not in a negative sense. It's a positive disruption where they wake up. Anytime things are happening in the political parties, they wake up and say, "Where are the women?" They form a table full of men. You wake up and ask, "Where are the women?" They try to organize something and the women are not there. We rise and say, "Where are the women?" This is the next line of action. We have to engage as activists within the political space. It is only then that the voices of women will begin to make the systems and those structural impediments feel like they are not accountable to the women who are their voters. So there is a connection between how we ourselves act and how we eventually get into that political space. So that's the challenge. The challenge is that women do not take their advocacy beyond the civil space or the civic space into the political spaces and begin to make these political spaces accountable to them. And I have said to all these women who have been majorly involved and massively too in the special seats bill, that it is time for them to move beyond just asking the National Assembly to give them the special seats, because I don't think it's going to happen in the 2027 election.
Right.
And to go into the political parties and make the demands that they have to make.
Right. Mrs. Benita, if I can come back to you in Abuja there, as a gender advocate, and, you know, as we've been campaigning over the years, I know up to 40 years ago, we considered a certain group of people as the younger generation and as future leaders. Now, 40 years later, those people are now the ones that are like the young people that are fighting for leadership roles and leadership positions. And I know that the young people of nowadays are more gender sensitive. You know, yesterday I was reading about women in tech, a lot of young women that I think Tech 50 or so, there was a publication of that. A lot of budding women in leadership positions in the tech world. And I was amazed and I was proud of them as well. So how do we begin to rally the young people of today to ensure that, you know, this thing that we're fighting for, that, you know, they work side by side, both, you know, the young men and young women, to begin to institutionalize these things that we've been fighting for and leave, you know, what the older generation have been doing and ensure that as young people, you know, we do the right things instead?
Well, you mentioned Mrs. Benite, but I'm not sure who you are directing the question to.
No, I did say Mrs. Adibite. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So in every sector, and I've seen it in different sectors, right? When it comes to mentoring and developing the next set of leaders, if you look at the medical profession, for example, they're very deliberate in the way that they build the next generation of doctors and nurses and dentists and so on and so forth. So there's this direct mentorship. I've seen it in the financial industries, in most of the private sector. you've talked about tech. So there's this system of mentorship, system of sponsorship, and just development, training and development and so on and so forth. And one of the things that continues to work in such spaces is that apart from building capacities and mentoring, there are performance structures that are put in place. So you come into any kind of organization or sector, you learn, you grow, but then you are also assessed on performance. And I've also seen now, if you look at Nigeria, and I really want to commend some organizations that were way ahead of their times, like WIMBIS, Women in Management, Business and Public Service. 25 years ago, when they were pushing for women in leadership in the private sector especially, there weren't many women in leadership. But now, if you look at most business organizations in Nigeria, they have their women groups embedded within the organizations. Outside the organizations, we also have a lot of women groups that are targeted at different sectors. So many of them, women in healthcare network, and they keep springing up every time. So many women in tech organizations and so on and so forth. So for me, what I will say is that professional networks, business membership organizations, all manner of associations are very relevant in building the next generation of professionals and leaders in various sectors. That's one. Even in the political space, it has started to happen. That's the honest truth, because we see a few of them that have set up all manner of mentoring and training programs. I think we just need to continue to institutionalize them in different ways and then just make them relevant. But also we need to attract the younger generation. Some of us, the way we approach things seems quite archaic to some of this younger generation. So, and they look at us, there are some things that are too monologue for them. There are things they are looking for. AI has already answered to them. So they just feel they don't even need you. But then I've come to realize that there's a difference between information and experience. AI can tell you something, but when it comes to experience, like Ambassador Toyo is here, Reverend Benite is here, there are certain things that are background things that AI cannot tell you, because AI is not on the field. So there's that human shared experience that is relevant. And I will always say that you also have to avail yourself to be mentored. I am a product of mentoring by so many women, and I've pursued them. Not that I waited for them, I pursued them. So we also have to encourage the youth to reach out to these women and don't think you know it all.
Right, and Mrs. Benite, talking about mentoring, it's good to push, to have women push to occupy those positions and to say, you know what, I can do it too. But there are those, traditional roles that women also, have to play, especially in the home. They're the nurturers of their home, they build their families, they want to have children, they want to get married. And you have to mix all of this with, being a career person, and you have to juggle it. And it's hard to juggle it. There's hardly any work-life balance. You have to oftentimes choose between, going for advocacy visits, trying to get into a particular position, and, also nurturing your children and building a home. So how can it work for women? I think it's where's the balance, if I can ask you that?
Well, the reality is an ideological issue. First and foremost, are men not supposed to be taking care of their family? Who exonerated the men from taking care of their family? Yes, we are the betters, but it doesn't mean we are the sitters. We need to organize ourselves as women and come together, even helping each other. Like when my children were growing up, I had a group of women, we came together to help each other. So some could even travel overnight and leave their children with one of us. So women also need to have that kind of desire to also help another woman reach and achieve her goals. Because the reality, I repeat, for example, the Ministry of Women Affairs need to do much more, for example, in ensuring that elective courses, even right from secondary school, of the issue and the ideology of womanhood beyond her home. there is a balance, undoubtedly, that you must know how to manage your home. And guess what? So many women have done excellently. And that is like a prototype. Your home is the prototype for community engagement. And so because we are close to hearts, we can be able to now translate. The challenge is the translation. As I look through over the years, training both women and men, I see that the challenge is ideological. You need to understand that as much as you are a woman, being a birther, a homemaker, is actually already building you up for leadership engagement. It does not deny you leadership. It actually prepares you even to be more dogged. Howbeit, the playing capacity, how to play. The Russian women and the Rwanda women are all mothers also. But they balance with societal understanding that, for example, if we are in a community, if women come together and say, okay, let us have a place like the Israeli, put our children together and make sure they are safe so that we can engage. We're not engaging forever. We have timeline, organizational skill, capacity, so that we can give ourselves more time in the society. But there is no excuse for a woman in this hour to tell the world that she's incapable of leading. And to the men, women are designed to also lead. The opportunity now, like Ambassador said, is for us to now gather and get into that political party. The young ladies who are doing tech, the ones who are doing the banking sector, should understand that governance holds sway to their future. So all of us must recognize that governing a nation, political power matters. So it's time for us to take it. How do we take it? Go to those meetings. Carry baby on the back. Carry a prawn. What do they call it? No, yes, my children are in their late 20s. Carry whatever. Boogie bag, all the things. Carry it to that meeting. Go there. Make decisions. Don't look like a woman who can't make decisions. You are making decisions at home. The destiny of men lie in your hands. You can make decisions for your society. So, but it's time for us to engage. Action, 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 action is action time. And that is one of the things for 2026 we should give to gain. It's time for us to put the baby on the head, on the back, on the neck, and ask even Uncle, take care of the baby. I'm going for that political meeting. Because my destiny of the future of my children lies in the decision that politicians make. And we can no longer sit back and watch them do what they like. Vote will count if all of us come out in our throngs. But we are women, we know what to do when we want to get something even at home. Let's multiply that effect outside.
Thank you. That was very engaging. Ambassador Toyo, your take on that too.
Joker, you need to tell me what it is because I haven't been hearing the other side.
Right, we were talking about the balancing act between a woman, being able to excel, in her chosen career, but then is this at the detriment of her nurturing, building her home and being there for her children and her family?
We make it look like the political work is different from the kind of work you're doing right now. I'm sure, Joke, if I speak to you about what it takes to come and do what we are doing right now, it's a lot of commitment. And even for the women who are not working outside the home, and I use the word working because they are also working at home, they have to constantly balance a lot of things, going to the market, going to get things sorted out. They have to leave the home, they have to schedule things. It's about multitasking. And I think that one form of multitasking is not different from the other one in the sense that we have schedules, we have reorganizing of our time. It's a skill, and it's a skill which God has given to women very abundantly to be able to do 10 things at the same time, And yes, there could be opportunity cost depending on the situation in which we find ourselves. But oftentimes it's not an everyday thing, There are moments in your career, your political life, your engagement with the work that you do that demands more of your attention than other times. And so it is left for us as some sort of people who have some sort of understanding of what the different responsibilities we have. It's about responsibility, really, at the end of the day. So I think sometimes when this question is put across to women, that suggests to me that the woman who takes on a political position or takes on a very high level career position has abandoned her family. I guess that is to some extent it goes into the narrative. And remember, we are talking about gender here, where we are always thinking that the women need to be guided before they are able to make the kinds of decisions and the kinds of transitions in life which they have. Gives you some sort of infantile thinking about the woman. We are active, responsible, and contributing very capably to the development of many institutions. Think about nursing, for example. When I see the women, my relatives in the US in the nursing profession, I say to them, you do more work than I do as a political actor. So, again, it's back to how we are able to pull the balances together. And I believe that in many cases, women have been able to transcend the challenges that those things put. And in the engender sense, you have men who are increasingly stepping up to support the women who have made these transitions and ensure that the family does not suffer. I believe that what this means is that the absence of a mother is not the absence of a father, and the family tends to gain from the shared responsibility that exists between father and mother. This is not an application on the part of mothers, but this is a responsible way of asking the family to grow with the shared contribution of both men and both the father and the mother. And obviously that makes for the fears that we have about mothers who are not on or are probably into something different than the routine homework. But please, let's not put down the home keepers, because that is work too, and then constantly juggling.
I think that is one of the most underrated jobs in the
Yeah.
world, homekeeping.
Thank you very much, Ayo. Thank you.
I'm saying that with all sense of responsibility.
Yeah,
No
certainly.
matter how
Thank
much
you.
money you make as a man, if you come back home and your house is upside down, trust me,
It's work.
you will
It's
rethink
work.
a lot of things. And
It's
I
work.
mean, I don't know, because when I hear you, wonderful women talking about how women have been put down, I wonder, because Chief Obafemi Awolowo, for instance, pretty much faced the whole of his life, public life and all of that, and it was the mother that was taking care of the kids and everything. Nelson Mandela, we heard that that's exactly what happened as well. Why can't we flip the table? But hey, maybe that's another day, another conversation for another time. Thank you so much.
Wahala.
Thank you for being here this morning, Ambassador Nkoyo Toyo. We appreciate your time this morning. Hannah Tuadegbite, women empowerment specialist and gender advocate.
Yes.
Thank you for your time, as well as Juliet Biniche, International Director Training, Institute for National Transformation, also a women leadership expert. We sincerely appreciate your perspective this morning, and again, happy Mothering Day.
Mothering Sunday.
Same to
Thank
you.
you.
Mother's Sunday tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, following the escalation of the US-Israeli conflict with Iran earlier this year, which of course has led to direct strikes on GCC, that's the Gulf Cooperation Council states, expatriates are coping through a mix of what has been described as cautious normalcy, digital adaptation, and heightened security awareness. Of course, daily life for many countries, particularly in the UAE, has been somewhat. The atmosphere is heavily influenced by anxiety, travel disruptions, and remote work protocols. Residents in cities like Dubai, Doha are continuing to go to work and visit shops, though with reduced foot traffic and increased caution, sometimes describing the atmosphere as having a COVID-19 vibe. Well, let's have conversation around this morning with Surinder Singh, who is editor-at-large for Greater Kashmir, joins us from New Delhi, as well as Franklin Omene, who is CEO of Efan Energy Limited and chairman of Omene Holdings, also based in Dubai. Thank you for joining us this morning, you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Mr. Singh, let me begin with you. Let's start with perspectives that people need to understand. You put up an article recently about this. Give us a perspective. What is it that you think people need to understand about this whole conversation that may be missing? Mr. Surinder Singh, that's for you.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, you see, it's exactly 2 weeks now that the situation has become very tense, and every passing day we see that people do not understand, especially those who are expats. Now, if you look into the structure of the Gulf countries, uh, in majority of those countries, you have got expats who have been living there, and in a very safe atmosphere. In fact, many of the people had shifted their offices, rather their next home was more or less like Dubai or many Qatar or other places where they were feeling not only comfortable with their jobs but also with the atmosphere, security, not much of the crime, and the best thing was the saving of money which they were having. Having said that, but now you look, I mean, I'm sitting here in Delhi and there are 9.1 billion Indians who have been living in all these Gulf countries and doing all sort of jobs from the high top white blue collar jobs like drivers working in the hospitals, entertainment industry, as well as tourism. Now, all that is getting affected, massively affected. And India, I think, is getting one of the highest remittance. And this is what I had written in the article also about 50 billion dollars which India receives from the people who send their money back into their home. And their homes run literally because of that money. Now, that is where they are feeling a little on an edge. They feel most of the people they are walking on a razor's edge. And tomorrow, if something bad happens, some factories are closed, some tourism is closed, people do not start visiting these countries, they are massively going to be affected. And they are not sure. Many of them don't even want to return to India despite that they want to live in a conflict area where they are feeling a little safe. But the second thing which they are looking for their own security, job security, which is there. So my concern was that it's a reverse migration, what's happening. Earlier, it was like an economic migration where people had gone to earn money. They have spent a huge amount of money. And now once they come back, as we do, we are not still sure how long this conflict is going to go on. Like even as we are talking, there are orders being issued by Israelis against Iranians right now to vacate some of the Western areas. In fact, yesterday, the Trump said that they have already taken care of one of the islands, which has got 90% of these oil reserves, and helps Iran to send and transport their oil. So
Okay.
all these situation things are becoming a little tingy for diaspora, I would say.
Absolutely concerning. And we were actually hoping that the Nigeria's chairman and CEO of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission would also join us. Hopefully she still will. We're preparing for that visit of the president to the UK. In the meantime, Mr. Omene, let's come to you. You reside in Dubai, and the concern of Mr. Surina Singh Oberoi is it seems like the expatriates such as yourself are significantly affected by this, especially given that the economy in the country or in the environment where you are largely depends on expatriates. What are your thoughts, concerns, fears, and aspirations?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you on this call. Yes, it's rather unfortunate because for us here, this is a very necessary war. Could be avoided. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in this situation in this beautiful country. Kudos to the leaders of this country; they've done a lot. I look at Dubai, look at UAE as similar to Nigeria in sense of resilience. It's a very resilient country and always innovative. It's the hub; it's a commercial hub, and I believe all else said and done, it will bounce back. There is a big effect on tourism, of course. The hotels, you could tell from the traffic on the streets, just like you said, it feels like a COVID all over again. But life here is going as, I'm not going to say as normal, but yes, people are going about their business. And we can feel the impact right now in the grocery stores, in our vegetables, because most of our everything is imported pretty much into the UAE. So that is definitely going to affect the lifestyle. And from the reports we're getting, I think with the food stock that is available here, we're looking at probably another couple of weeks to a month before it starts getting really bad. Um, we're hoping that they will find a resolve to all of this. Like I said, it's an unnecessary war, and our neighbors are not very neighbors in terms of the other Gulf countries. I hear are in talks to see how they can dialogue and get this sorted. Oman is spearheading this, which we're hoping that it wouldn't be as the last Iraq-Kuwaiti war. I was here right after that war, and we understood the adverse effect after that. Um, Basically, for me, it's a tough one, but I
Right.
think we'll get past it.
Right, and I'll stay with you, Mr. Mene. One of the countries that took a hit as a result of this war, we heard there were strikes on, infrastructure in Dubai. Um, how was it, during those days when the strikes happened? What was your concern, as with concerns of other Nigerians in Dubai at that time?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we had great concerns because we were a few of us are fortunate. I live too close, not too far from the airport. There's a few strikes at the airport. The good thing is this country has invested so much in their air defenses. And what has made it true are just probably a few drones and more of the damages or more of debris. So we are not just in terms of security, safety. Yeah, so they pride themselves with that, and now is the time to test all that. So basically, it's not as bad. Yes, if we have the notices. You get notice on your phone from time to time to say, there's a possible threat of a missile. So please take cover and just to be cautious. But all in all, I think everybody's going about the business. There is a bit of fear, there is a bit of nervousness, which is normal. But other than that, I think we're getting used to it. It's not good to stay used to it, but you don't get used to war. But yeah, after the first few days, everybody just started going about their business.
Right. We're still hoping to have Honorable Abike Dabrirewa, Chairman of CEO of the Nigerian in Diaspora Commission, to join us. But because you are a Nigerian in diaspora, I will ask you this question before we get back to Mr. Suringham. Nigeria has begun the evacuation of Nigerians from Iran because of this war. Your thoughts on that? It's happening now. Before, everybody was asking that question, when are they going to get Nigerians out, as other countries were, doing that from countries in the Middle East back home, at least till this war ends. So, your thoughts on, this engagement between Nigeria and those in diaspora, especially in Iran?
Honestly, I think it's necessary, mostly for those that are willing to head back home. It is necessary. Iran, I've been fortunate to be in Iran a couple of times. Yes, so it is. It would be a good move. A few of the other countries have done that, as opposed to the UAE, which is relatively safer. Iran, as we speak, is being bombarded, and Nigerians are pretty much, we've got a large population in Nigeria. I'm not sure the number, but yes, there is a large population of Nigerians in Iran. So yes, it's a necessary action that needs to be taken and coordinated, of course, by the consulate and the embassy in Iran. So yes, it's a welcome initiative.
We'll speak to the values and virtues of that conflict itself some other time. But let me come back to you, Serena Singh Oberoi. The Gulf states adopted a business model that is attractive to many expatriates. And, you know, I'm from different parts of the world. You just heard a Nigerian, Franklin Omene, you know, speaking to how life is there and all of that. But needless to say, given how this COVID-19 vibe is playing out right now at his location in Dubai, and according to him, perhaps largely in the UAE, how do you see the Gulf states surviving this period, particularly economically, given the economic model that they have adopted? Because if countries have to decide and say all our nationals should come home, then what happens to the UAE based on its economic model?
Yes, you see, despite country which is in the maximum progressive way, having massive global scale economy as well as opportunities for employees, the biggest fear with developed countries like Dubai and UAE and other places, Abu Dhabi, even Qatar, I would say, 80% of population is expat.
Wow.
And if they leave the place, it's going to create a big, I shouldn't say gap, but a cavity. And to cover that cavity, it will require time. You see, I'm sure it's going to bounce back. Right now, I mean, if the things go, or if there is a ceasefire soon, things will immediately go into a normal way. But if it's linger on, most of the people are worried. For example, Indians who are now living in these Gulf countries, their families literally want them back. And once they are back, it will be again difficult for them to go there or getting a new job sort of a thing. I agree as far as locals are concerned who have not literally become dependent on the expats, especially for all the major works like plumbing, washing, cleaning, and other things. It will become very difficult for them to look into the new way of bringing their economy back into the saddles. One thing is sure, it's an oil economy. It will come back in a big way, even though huge amount of it might have been spent. But it's already like if you look into the sovereign wealth, it's 2.5 plus trillion sort of a thing, which is through the oil. But equal amount is now being looked through other industries also, where they have been non-oil trade, I would say, which is also giving an equal sort of an opportunity. So exports will be affected. The tourism industry will be massively affected. And to bounce it back, it's like both sides are going to affect for no fault of them. As our colleague was mentioning about that, it's a forced conflict. It's a manufactured conflict which is there, where they are not responsible for it, but they are suffering. It's like two elephants are fighting and the grass is getting trampled. And that is exactly what has happened to the expats who are already out of their homes and their families are worried and they themselves are worried about their job. The situation is in a catch-22 situation sort of a thing. It will be difficult for them to re-establish if it lingers on.
Well, Mr. Wene, I'll come to you, you know, perhaps your own take on that as well. The hospitality sector is gravely affected. Restauranting and the rest of it. The tourism atmosphere is also affected. Aviation significantly affected and all of that. And going by what you've heard Mr. Surinder Singh Oberoi say, should there be a need for you and other expatriates in the UAE to leave? According to him, more than 80% of the people living in the UAE would have to evacuate. What are your thoughts on that? Do you see any remote chance of that ever happening?
Yes, Mr. Singh is very correct. This economy is built solely dependent on expats. And a lot of the workforce, from the white collar to the blue collar, are more expats. And we are seeing the impact right now as we speak. It's not even just barely 2 weeks into the war. We are already feeling the impact. Tourism, yes, the hotels are right now 10% occupancy. It used to be 80%, 85%, but right now it's 10%. A friend of mine rents a two-bedroom hotel apartment where he used to pay 270,000, and he was to renew his contract, and it was offered 100,000. So it was just slashed 170 off. So that is a big cut. On aviation, yes, it's a big hit. Emirates is, I just got off a call from a friend in South Africa. He used to go to Taipei for the AI Smart City Summit. They had booked on Emirates. They had to cancel that flight now to go to alternative routes. So these are definitely effects that is going to show physically in the economy today. Basically, myself, I went shopping a week ago. A basket of tomatoes that we buy at 20 dirhams, it's 45 dirhams. And so these are things that, of course, collateral damage. For us as a diaspora living here, a lot of the European communities have, I would say probably 40% have already left, if not probably just being conservative. So with that in mind, you can see there's a big hollow, and it will take some time. This is like the story of the 2008 bubble when the real estate, it happened. It took a while to regain the market confidence to bring people back into the space. So I see it as going to be a tough one for the Middle East, for UAE, mainly Dubai. It also opens up opportunities for some of our diasporas who are resilient and are willing to come in at such instances, because mostly Nigeria, as a Nigerian, we feel a unique space here in this country that is heavily dependent on tourism, just like the Kenyans, South Africans. So that is going to be a big challenge. We don't know if companies are going to start downsizing, but if this war lingers, that is a possibility of that happening. We've got friends who are already selling out their companies just to exit. So that is, again, collateral damage. We hope that there could be a quick resolve to this. Otherwise, it's not sustainable for another 30 days. It's not.
Okay. Well, Mr. Surinder Singh Oberoi, I'll come back to you again on this. My question is a bit, tends towards the diplomatic end a bit. Nigerians, Indians, Americans, Israelis, they live in and work in the UAE. That is now, if I'm going to use the words of Mr. Omene, suffering from the collateral damage of the war they didn't cause, but that is foisted on them. Do you see any remote chance that the expatriates themselves can influence anything that can put an end to this carnage happening on them?
See, where there is a will, there is a way. But the important thing is, first of all, let me tell you, the ripple effect is not only in the UAE, Dubai, or other places. It's now across the globe. For example, in Delhi, there's a complete shortage of LPG, where government has ordered for an emergency law to be put up so that people do not do hoarding and other things. I mean, we can come separately on this issue, that how rest of the world is suffering, as well as there is a massive panic among gas buying, petrol buying, and other things. But as your question, now I come back to your question. You see, international community can do wonders, but if they don't take sides, if I am a little diplomatic in your answers also. What I mean to say is there was a structure which was built up after Second World War. There were some international organizations which were supposed to work in a neutral way. And believe me, I was thinking that now Qatar was also becoming more or less like as a neutral state where they had been bringing solutions to the old problems. For example, Taliban had an office when it was banned and sanctions were there, again by US, but they had an office in Qatar. And finally, all negotiations were taking place there and results were there. Similarly, when Hamas and Israelis were fighting against each other, again the massive uh, diplomatic efforts were taken by Qatar, and I did an article also at that time saying that Qatar is finally turning into a new Geneva, like it was literally becoming nearer to the Asian countries as far as the neutrality is concerned, and even the current phase also. Oman as well as Qatar were negotiating. But look into the role of international organizations. I think they are not doing their job what they should have been given. For example, if migration is taking place, we do have IMO meant for the migrants, but we don't have any law for the reverse migrants. Now, people who had gone to earn money, and if they come back to their own respective countries, shouldn't there be some law to help them, to support them? Or organizations like United Nations, they literally need to pass out some orders. They have their own military, they have their international peace forces. They can bring in, ask all the actors to act properly. But I think their role has been diminished. And maybe because of the years of not being used properly. Or not only that, even there are organizations like UNHCR for the refugee status and other things. So if they start working in a proper way as far as the international organizations are concerned, and then negotiate properly without bias, things can become a little
And
better.
that's a significant point that you have raised there, Mr. Singh Obiri. But let me ask Mr. Mene that question as well. But this time, here is yours. He has said that there is a likelihood, in fact, it is practical, it is happening already. The war in Iran, or rather war on Iran, is affecting the whole world. Different parts of the world are feeling the pinch one way or the other. But he has also spoken to what he calls reverse policy for reverse migrants. You know, should there be a situation where the foreign nationals in the UAE have to return home? There should be a kind of policy for them and all of that. God forbid, but just in case, what are your thoughts?
Um, it's definitely a good thing to know that you're returning back from, for lack of a better word, a war zone, and you've left much all what you worked for a good part of your life. And it would be nice to come home to some little incentive from the state. Having said that, basically, what I think the same thing happened during the Ukrainian war. A few I speak for Nigeria as a Nigerian. I know a few people who came back and they were. I mean, the diaspora did well. I mean, I give it to Honorable Bikadabri. I mean, they did as much as the country could do in terms of giving them a warm reception. And I think the first few days or weeks was taken care of. At this point, it's still early days. It's war, this conflict. Economically, it's definitely is going to be. Right now, we're feeling the impact. Bear in mind, this the Strait of Hormuz is a canal, a channel that we're talking about. It's not looked at food security. The fertilizer that comes out of Qatar, they all go through that strait, and very soon it's going to be planting season. If it's not already planting season in some other part of the world, um, this region supplies close to 30 to 40% of the world fertilizer. Dangote, yes, we're doing quite a bit in Nigeria, but with our population going over 250 million, I don't think Dangote will be enough to cater for that need. Yes, we encourage the countries to see how to support the returning diaspora, community. I think the UK is offering something. I know of a few countries that are offering some sort of incentive for them to start up all over again. And the good thing with the UAE, like I said, they will bounce back. It will take some time, but they also have a way of absorbing and attracting people to come back, either with the new 10 years visa. There's always some, and all we pray for is for the war, the short-term war, this conflict. And, that way, we do not. I mean, India, for example, takes 80% of their LPG from Iran. That's a big number for a population like India. It's going to hit it. It's going to be a tough one. Thailand has already started rationing their consumption of this. So all of this conflict is beyond the Middle East, beyond the Gulf. We don't know right now. We can't say who's losing, but it's not about winning or losing right now. There's a lot of people that this was affected, and it's only been just 10 days or barely 2 weeks into this conflict. It's going to get worse if all leakers. So I think diaspora, just like your question, to answer your question, yes, there is a role that international community can play, mostly diaspora, with negotiations, just like India has done. India has visited Israel. Modi visited Israel, and all these talks are to see how they can cushion, this effect. Because end of the day, we know how much Nigerian diaspora brings into the country. So all that has effect. So I think we need to look inward and really, really take the bull by the horn and sit the two gladiators down and get a resolve to this.
Well, I'm waiting for that sit down.
Certainly.
And I really don't want to be in the room. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Franklin Omene, CEO Efang Energy Limited HK and Chairman of Omene Holdings in Dubai. We also appreciate your time and your thoughts this morning. Surinder Singh Oberoi, Editor at Large for the Greater Kashmir, joined us from New Delhi. Thank you so much and all the best.
Can I add just one thing? I just had one closing.
Yes, please.
Now, we need to look at, this conflict from a different perspective. From an African proverb, you say a man that is already sitting on the ground is not afraid to fall. So you look at Iran. I mean, they've been through this for 40 years. Look at the UAE, the Gulf. They're just standing. They're barely trying to stand. But Iran has been sitting for all this while. So they're not afraid to fall. So I think it's in the interest of everybody, get them to the table and really, really resolve this issue. Otherwise, it's not going to be enough for the region.
We're hoping that, as you said, the conversation will happen for them to resolve it in a way that the world is happy with at the end of the day. Thank you. Well, we'll come back home in the next conversation. The CBN governor recently said, no more devaluation of the Naira. Or maybe put it better, no more deliberate devaluation of the Naira. So what next? That's our next conversation. Join us then.
Welcome back now to the economic debate. Wow. So here we have it. Nigeria's economic debate has recently focused again on the Naira. Well, it almost always is focusing on the Naira. Should we or should we not? That's the debate the CBN has. Should we devalue the Naira? What do we do to shore up the economy?
Now there's a conclusion.
There's a conclusion now. No more devaluation. Especially after the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, suggested that the era of the further devaluation should be behind
history.
Behind us. Well, that sounds reassuring. Currency stability is rarely achieved by policy statements such as that. It usually reflects deeper strength within the real economy. That raises more of a fundamental question. How do macroeconomic policies such as exchange rate management and monetary discipline connect with the macroeconomic realities that shape everyday life, like production, industry, jobs, and the cost of living, the high cost of fuel, for instance, and at the pumps, and the cost of crude oil internationally. We import, or we get the refineries to do their jobs, and then we still have to buy at the pump. So, you know, this week alone, I think, or last week and this week, there were various times there were various adjustments at the pumps.
It's still going on.
And it's still going.
Yes.
You know, once the announcement is made, they adjust to either lower or higher, depending. So we'll be buying at various prices. And these are some of the issues that we're talking about. Now, Nigeria has enormous potential, yet the structure of the economy still leaves us heavily dependent on imports, vulnerable to external shocks like the current fuel price hike, as I've just said, and all that. So our guest today, Professor Banji Oyelaron Oyeyinka, scholar, researcher, professor in economics, innovation, and technology management in developing countries, former senior special advisor on industrialization to the president of the African Development Bank. He joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Right.
Pleasure
So,
to be with you.
to be or not to be is, you know, what we're saying. The central bank governor says, suggested that the era of devaluation of the Naira should be behind us. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's just a suggestion, but do you think that's going to be a fact going forward?
No, thanks a lot. I think the government has done well to stabilize the macro sector. But I looked at the statement of the governor as an aspiration. I think it's an aspiration. It's not a statement grounded in economic theory. If you say we will no more devalue, it also, I believe, sending a signal to our partners, to investors, that there will be no whimsical devaluation. The government has removed arbitrage from the system, collapsed the exchange rate system. So I think, if you take that statement as it is, that there will be no more devaluation. It's aspirational, in my view, because exchange rate determination, is not governed by statements. It's governed by fundamentals of economics, like the purchasing power parity, balance of payment,
right?
The differential between your trading partner and yourself in terms of inflation, trade imbalances, and capital flows, and all of that we all know about. So, and I think that's why the governor and the central bank actually, they focus a lot on inflation, trying to keep it in a single digit. But we need to understand his statement in that context, I believe. And how we do it matters quite a lot. Keeping inflation down, making sure that we reduce volatility. The reason why the issue of stabilization comes into play all the time is because of the nature of the structure of our economy. The almost extreme reliance on the volatile oil sector. Just look at what is happening now in Iran, Israel, and these wars in the Middle East. Nobody knows where it's going to end. So you cannot say it. You have to do something else. You cannot decree it. You don't decree policy into play without doing the strategy.
Right. I'm not sure it was decreed, but I'm sure you just said that as a rhetorical statement. As you said, it was a suggestion, or it was an idea that aspiration, what he would like to happen, because I don't think anybody wants to keep devaluing their currency. But from a development economist perspective, what real sector changes do you think must occur for us to for our currency to be stable, and such that whatever the central bank governor was imagining or what he wanted to happen will actually happen on the long run?
Thank you very much. I think the source of sustainable development is it's well known. And I'll make 3 points. One is that the source of foreign exchange for us now always comes from oil. It creates volatility. It creates uncertainty in the economy. It's not in our hands. Whenever oil prices encounter what is encountering now, it's taken out of our hand because it's internationally determined, whether it's $100, whether it's $50, whether it's $20. I mean, look at COVID. For example, during COVID, a barrel of oil was almost worthless. It was like a cup of coffee, the same cost. So I would say that going forward, and building on this stability that we have achieved so far, relative stability, we should call it, because nothing is permanent in life. The first thing is that the real economy, what you call the real sectors, should be the sources of our effects, not just oil. So when you see a problem, you diagnose a problem, you try to go beyond it. A strong Naira must come from a production economy. We should invest in production skills, infrastructure that boost productivity and competitiveness. We stabilize the Naira from the foreign exchange earnings that derive from what we produce outside of oil. What we produce, what we process, what we export. In other words, we should aggressively pursue export expansion. And there are three areas, and I've been an advocate of agro-processing. That will be, for me, number one, because that's where Africa has comparative advantage. 65% of all arable land in the world, uncultivated, is in Africa. So why don't you take advantage of it? So we have cocoa, sesame, ginger, cassava. Raw exports means no value addition, and it keeps Nigeria in poverty. That's number one thing we need to keep in mind. So we should aggressively solve that problem. We should support commodity exporters who want to produce here. I've spoken with so many of them, and they tell me, Prof, you really don't know what we face, from logistics, from ports, from corruption, and all of this. There was a person who told me, look, I wanted to have my own export terminal where I will produce and export. He said, I fought that for almost 2 years, nothing happened. So we need to encourage those folks who want to process their cocoa, their sesame in situ in Nigeria. The second area, I believe, and I believe that, I have talked a lot about special agro-industrial processing zone over the years, but there's a part of the special agro zone called the agri transformation centers that we need to really take forward. I would suggest, for example, that every governor in this country must strive to have minimum of one special agro zone, at least 10 agri transformation centers that will attack the area where poverty is persistent. In every local government, we should have at least 10 of them, agri transformation centers. For me, the rural transformation agenda that we are talking to some people about now is the most powerful lever for transformation, not oil. 50 years, 60 years, we've tried oil.
Just a moment, Prof. My sincere apologies for butting in. Yeah. And it's like you looked in my notes and you saw my next question. Because I've always had a challenge. You have said that the pronouncement of the CBN governor is aspirational, which is of course amazing, and that it is not grounded in any economic theory. But I always ask this question. When I hear lofty economic policies or ideals and ideas and all of that, particularly the macroeconomic ones, I'm asking the question, where is the connect between the macroeconomic issues and the microeconomic issues, where the federal government is dealing with all the big numbers and all? How about those ones that trickle down to the people? that affect the livelihoods, the pockets of people, fuel price, and all those things. So you're speaking to one or two of them, but I just want us to, before you go deeper into them, I just want us to be clear that the connect can be seen by the average Nigerian. When we are saying this macroeconomic policy, we have a microeconomic policy that is supposed to make it relevant to the people. Help us get that connect so that people can appreciate whatever it is that the CBN governor has
Yeah,
planned.
no, thank you very much, Ayo. I think macro stability is extremely important. I give an example. If you have uncertainty and volatility in the economy, no investor will come because they are not sure what happens tomorrow. As a matter of fact, a low value Naira is probably better than a volatile Naira. We don't want any of them, right? But when people are uncertain, if I invest today at a certain level of exchange rate, and I'm not sure what happens next month, I've taken a bank loan, I don't know, I can't plan, that is a major issue. So this is why macro stability that the CBN has done is extremely important. Number two is that when your Naira is too weak, for example, the cost of imported inputs become extremely expensive. And we saw it during the first structural adjustment program in the mid-80s. So you want to stabilize that. Even if it's not what you want at its optimal, you still want to stabilize. So there's a big connection between the macro variables. Inflation, for example, is also one of those things that CBNs all over the world have narrowly focused on because it affects consumer spending, it affects lives. You see now the debate in the US about cost of fuel, and of course, it's also in Nigeria. When a household, you have a certain income per month, you made your budget, and suddenly half of it is going into just buying petrol. That's a big problem. Or food. Remember when we had very high food prices, rice is costing so much, people are in trouble. So, and that also affects the supply side. When there's no demand, producers cannot supply. They don't have any incentive to produce more. So I think that connection is extremely important. The other time I broke it into macro, meso, and micro. Macro is those things that we've been talking about, PPP, and all of that. Meso is the level of the sector, the sectoral incentives that you give to the oil and gas sector, to the agri sector, to the industrial sector, manufacturing sector. They are all parameters that we should pay very close attention to. And at a micro level is where you now begin to talk about the details of, is it a micro, a small, medium, large enterprise? What do they need to survive? A lot of people, when they see a private sector making an argument for support, some people, I believe, and I'm sorry to say, ignorantly oppose it. And a private sector company is producing for the country. And what you see in Asia as one of their big successes is that at the beginning of their development planning, they ensure that no foreign multinationals control any sector of their economy. Just take a look at it. You go to Japan, it's Mitsubishi, it's Mitsui, it's Toyota, it's Nippon. You can't see any of them. They allow foreign direct investment. You go to Korea, the same. It's Samsung, it's Kia, it's Hyundai. And I must say to you, for example, Samsung alone controls about 24% of the total Korean GDP. You can check it out. One company. So when people were, say, opposing Dangote, I was really amused about what people say, but that's an aside. I'm saying a country like ours with a huge consumer base must build its own national farms, whether they are small, medium, or large. they must support them by every means possible, so that in times of volatility, when companies are relocating and this, they stay here. They are Nigerian companies. So, and across all the sectors, whether it's agriculture. So, your initial question was, what's the connection? I think I've actually answered that. But answering it, how do we do it? We do it by supporting the micro level. And I said, for example, the sectoral characteristics is agribusiness, to make sure that we produce, we process, and we aggressively do export expansion of processed goods, not raw materials.
Okay, now, Prof.
And you do that by detailed intervention.
Yeah, my apologies for butting in.
Yes, please.
The macroeconomic issues are dealt with by the federal government. And is it the same thing with microeconomic issues? Is there something state governments can do so that the macroeconomic pluses or wins that the federal government is achieving for the country, Nigerians can appreciate it? Because a good number of people are wondering what the holy is happening if Naira is stable and all of those things, but things are still expensive as far as they are concerned, as far as their experiences are concerned. So is there a role for the state governments to help Nigerians deal better with whatever the pressures are that are coming from wherever?
Excellent question, Ayo. I think, I have always made the argument that the locus of production is at the state level, at the local government level. Is the land, is the factory. The locus, the place where you produce, is those states. And I started by saying, for example, that state governments must ensure that all their local governments are turned into ecosystems of production. And one of the instruments is what we call the agri-transformation centers under the ATCs. We are saying this because a large part of Nigeria is agricultural. There are other things. For example, for those states, say in the South, with a huge amount of gas, Nigeria is not just a crude oil. In fact, we have more gas assets than crude oil. I believe that they must intentionally encourage private sector companies to invest in converting our gas assets into high-value products, ethanol, methanol, fertilizer, ammonia, all of those things. And Dangote has shown us this is possible. Dangote is not just producing fuel, it's producing petrochemicals, all kinds of things. Say what you will. The point is that we have a pointer now to the fact that we can actually encourage every state government in the South with huge gas resources to begin to do this, not by themselves, because I don't believe government should do business. A ministry cannot do business. It is not work. The second layer is the agribusiness side, and I made some calculations. Since I left the bank, I've had time to really sit down, begin reflecting on a lot of things. Nigeria is said to have, in fact, there was a report yesterday that the poverty rate came down from 62 to 61. I think that's it's fine, but it's not where we want to be. Poverty rate, meaning that people living under $2 a day, 135 million people in the country. And I did a simulation. For example, if this 135 million people suddenly goes from $2 to $10 per day, the calculation shows that if we do this well, in over 2 years, we'll add about $400 billion to the Nigerian GDP, which is actually double of what we have now. In fact, the projections show that over 10 years, Nigeria will actually transit to almost more than $1 trillion economy. For the Southwest alone, we'll move from like $40 billion to over $100 billion if we do this just across the Southwest. In other words, you're asking about state government, that is the locus of production. And we see factories all over places like Ogun and others.
So how
Lagos.
about regional collaborations, Prof?
Yes,
You are talking
very
about the
important.
Southwest now, and we know that there is now a ministry, a federal ministry,
Yeah.
dealing with this
Regional
development
development.
commissions, regional development commissions, and all of those things.
Yeah.
How do you see that also panning out? Because sometimes politics can get in the way of state governments.
I believe, and I want to assume that maybe this is why the government set up the regional commission. We used to have, I think, just the Northeast and the NNDC. Now, every state, every region has its own regional commission, and it's called Development Commission. My proposal is that they should focus on development. And I believe that's really what their mandate is. And they should take this forward, because local governments are largely seen as political. The Southwest, the Northeast, the Northwest commissions should take a bold step to advance these kinds of ideas that we are proposing. Make sure every local government in that region has productive posts, turn them from poverty posts to productive posts, reach the underserved communities with the facilities that we know are not there now. Thank God for, mini grids, solar. I've seen companies that are building mini grids in very remote areas. So the key issue that causes manufacturing barriers is electricity, transport and logistics, and access to finance. If you want to remove poverty from this land, we have to go to where do 70% of our people live. And this was the principles that we enacted for the special agro-industrial processing zone. We didn't build them around the ports. We didn't build them near airports. We said, if you really want to solve the poverty problem, you must go where poverty is persistent. We must go to the rural, peri-urban areas and build productive. And I believe it's possible. So I believe like you say, the regional commissions, development commissions, to make it their goal to reach all of these places, all of these places. The technology is reaching everywhere now. And I believe that whatever the states are doing, they should collaborate with the development commissions, work together. Apart from the appropriation to these commissions, the state government should work hand in hand with them to actually change the ecosystem. We can change it in 10 years.
Right.
Nigeria can become a 1.3 trillion economy in 10 years if we do this.
Yes, right. And
we need an average of 7% growth over 10 years to double your
apologies. And that is happening in somewhat like, you have this braced commission in the South region that, the state government established that, in 2011, trying to work together to develop, the state's economies. We also have one with the southwestern states as well. I know that they were working on transport infrastructure, train, especially with the train linking different states in the southwest. I also know that the Lagos state and government and some governments in the north, I think. I can't remember, maybe it's Naira or Zamfara state. The states that produce rice, in the north and in the southeast as well. They're also working. Yeah, I think Kebbi State. Yes, the lake rice. I think that is going on somewhat, and the governments are trying to do that. So how can we encourage more of this? Such that we look inwards and we try and get Nigeria back to that state before the discovery of crude oil, when agriculture was the mainstay of the economy and everything was fine.
No, I think I will encourage you as channels. Maybe you want to go around and verify these things. I think it will be a good exercise for us, for the country, to actually show where we are. Oftentimes, declaration on paper means nothing, by the way. I don't know the exact level of achievement. I know that the Southwest was just established a year ago. In fact, they're going to be 9 months ago. They'll be 1 year in July, like Southeast and Northwest. The existing ones were NNDC and Northeast, I believe, at that time. And so only four of them were recently established. I doubt if they've been able to get to implementation. Much of what you know now or hear now is still the level of declaration of intention. So I think channels will do this country a big favor, actually, because you are credible. You have the reach to actually go and ask questions. These are your KPIs. How far have you gone? Particularly the older ones. The Northeast one have been around for a while. NNDC has been around for a while. So, and I think it's also in our for us to hold all of them to account as they evolve, over time. So, I believe the establishment of those commissions is a fantastic idea.
Well, Prof,
I am not sure where they have reached.
Even though you said that the Southwest Development Commission has only just been commissioned and
in
is
July
less
last
than
year,
1 year old, they've always had this development agenda for Western Nigeria. It's similar in a way, in my opinion. So, how do they differ?
Yeah. So Don, as I remember, and I've been to the office a couple of times too, is a source of ideas. They are not an implementing. I don't know how empowered they are financially to implement, but I believe that an institution like Don should work closely with the Southwest Development Commission. They should work with other actors within this Southwest, just like the others also. So Don was not, if I recall correctly, an implementing agency. With the establishment of the Southwest Development Commission, now you give instruments to implement. They will be empowered financially. They will have to set up organizations to do the real development on the ground. Because really what we want to see is on the ground, not on paper, not by policy declaration. We want to see things on the ground. And I think this is really what will change the narrative for our country. And one of the last things also that I wanted to say, apart from the gas issue in the north south, is that with the issue of steel, I believe should not die as an idea in our country. I overheard Dangote recently saying he wants to now go into steel. I think we should encourage that. Without a steel sector, we will be stuck in this structural dependence of imports. This is my view. If Nigeria had steel, we will have been far more ahead. Everywhere you look at the airports, look at the seaports, look at your ships, look at your motors, look at your vehicles, look at everything. Everything is made of steel. Look at the environment where you are, bridges, culverts. There is nothing you look at that doesn't involve steel, that doesn't involve some level of petrochemicals. So I think we should not let the idea that it should not be government, because I don't think they will ever allow you to work in government. We've tried so hard, but let us encourage private participation aggressively to build a primary steel plant. I'm not talking of, scrap using steel plant. They are very useful. They do their part, but steel plant that produce primary steel, raw steel plants. And today, if I'm correct, a 1 million ton direct reduction electric arc furnace plant will cost you just about $1 billion. $1 billion. A 2 million tons will cost you about maybe $2.2 billion. Dangote built 20 billion plants. So I think this is an idea that I believe the government should aggressively pursue. Get folks consortia to put money in building. I don't care where it is, as long as it's here in Nigeria, based on good feasibility study.
Let me expect, Prof, that you're going to get a call from any of the state governors anytime soon, because the things you're saying, I mean, they are quite lofty. We have 774 local governments all over the country. So if one of them, each one of them has just one of these transformation hubs that you talk about, I'm just trying to imagine what my own village, for instance, will begin to look like now. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Yeah, Professor Banji Ilaroyinka is a scholar, a researcher, professor in economics, innovation and technology management in developing countries. He's also been, at some time, senior special advisor on industrialization to the president of the AFDB. We appreciate your time and your thoughts this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So let's just say no more devaluation on condition that we produce. Okay, by the way, your body needs to produce some stuff. Yeah, we'll talk about that one when we return. How will you dance to that kind of song? And you will not walk out.
I told you now, we should have gone to jail. Can you see?
No, wait, calm down. You see, you can't dance to that kind of song.
I know what, those are the, yes. I will be looking for songs to work out with when you have that one.
No, you don't need, just any day, anytime. Shegun Johnson, work out. Bidemi Olaba, work out.
Work out.
Anytime.
And plenty other people, really.
etc. Okay. Now, we want to talk about how you love your body. And this is a lifestyle segment, right? But we'll be looking at this conversation more from the fitness perspective. Every time, Joke, we're talking about, things that we need to do to feel better, to do better, and all of that. There's hardly anyone that has come into this studio to tell us how to live better, and who has not told us what to eat, or not to eat.
Or not to eat, yes.
Especially cake. Oh, God.
Why cake?
Anyway.
Do you have cake in your bag that you're not telling me about?
As I was saying before
You must buy cake for me today.
Is it your birthday?
It doesn't matter. Every day. It's Women's Month. You have not celebrated Women's Day for me.
Now, one of the other things that's giving me a bit of concern is this heat stroke thing.
Yeah.
Now, we must
drink lots of water.
Wait, we'll come to it. We must work out.
Yeah.
No, they've told us, drink water, hydrate properly, stay in cool place as soon as possible. But that doesn't replace working out. It doesn't replace your fitness regimen. Now, in the heat, you still have to work out. We need a balance. Otherwise,
do you work out?
Fine. Am I the one answering questions?
No, I'm
see
just
the person
asking you now.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, Joel Zamiri is here with us this morning. He is a fitness expert and he's director at IREP. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
She's asking if I work out. Don't even answer her, please.
Okay.
This whole heat stroke thing, I think earlier this week, I don't know, Joker, you can confirm. We've heard weather experts tell us that in the north, it's a lot hotter.
Yeah.
And caution is advised a lot more in that area and all of that. Yet people must work out, Mr. Ozamiri.
Yeah.
Can't we just excuse ourselves simply because there is heat? Because when we work out, our body generates heat. So don't we have enough heat around?
Well, yes. So I also want to say, before you ask that question, I had something about working out because you are dancing to a song, right? I've said it many times, and you have to remember, that's not workout. That's physical activity.
Okay.
There is a chasm, there's a big difference between physical activity and exercise.
Oh.
Physical activity is what you do.
Okay.
You stand up, you sit down, you dance, you eat, you do everything. That's physical activity, and that's good. You should do a lot of
Move
physical
your body.
activity, but exercise.
What's the difference?
Yes, so exercise
Is it
is
not
for
movement?
development.
All
So it's
right.
like you use exercise you use activity as a tool for the exercise. But this time around, the intensity, the repetition, right? The design of the workout is for you. And so right now I'm on level 3. I'm working to get to level 4, right? Everybody can be on level 1 and we are all walking around and we are strolling. That's level 1. But there is no physiological benefit. You are not increasing maybe your cardiovascular system or your posture or your fitness generally, as it were. So always differentiate the difference between activity and exercise, which is what most people do. They think because I took a walk yesterday, or hey, I always take that staircase instead of that, then I'm done. Now, having said so, 1 is better than 0. Right? 1 is better than 0. So it's good you are doing all this activity, but for you to see real gains and real change, then it has to be something prescribed, something repeatable, right? Something that is physiologically changing a system in your body.
Depends on what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
I'm going there.
Okay,
So
great.
now when it comes to heat stroke, because
No. Before you go to that heat stroke,
Wait.
sorry. You said repetition
Yes.
is
It's part of
is
exercise.
a trait of exercise.
Yes.
So there's a particular staircase.
Nice one. Yeah, okay, there's a particular staircase. Okay.
Has about 15 stairs.
Okay.
From time to time, instead of taking the elevator,
You take
I go
it.
up, I go down.
Fantastic.
like
You should
2 or
do
3
that.
times.
Yes.
Is that exercise or
that exercise?
activity?
It's activity, sir.
How is that so?
So
Don't you have
want
staircase
me
in
to
the gym?
make it? All you have to do is ask me, do you want me to make it an exercise for you?
Oh yeah, make it exercise.
Ah, fantastic. So
Eh.
we will now talk about the speed at which you climb the stairs.
What
One.
if I now fall down?
Okay, see? So we are back to it again. A staircase is not an exercise tool.
Really?
Staircase, you just said fall now. But you just mentioned fall now. You're not going to mention fall.
Okay, so there are times when we hear that if you don't have this, you can improvise with this. For instance, the quick steps, you can go maybe on 2 steps. You go, come down, go up. Come. We have to. Whenever you bring him again, we have to
There's
change
something that
and do
there's something I
exercise.
tell my students I have to tell you.
Yes.
There are 4 ways you can get to Abuja. You can walk, you can take a motorcycle, you can take a car, or you can fly. What do you think is better?
Flying.
Flying. You sure? What about walking?
No.
You will get there. You will get there, I promise you.
Which way is
After you have
better
suffered.
is different from which way is faster. Please, they're 2 different things.
The flight is both better and faster. So when we're talking about exercise, I'm not saying that climbing up the staircase is not activity. I am saying there will be no physiological improvement. See, let me explain what we do with exercise. Naturally, your body keeps breaking down. We keep getting older. Don't do anything, atrophy sets in. Don't do anything, you're weak, right? So to fight against weakness, so that we can have enough strength to go about our business till we are 70 and 80 is why we exercise. And the way to do that is that you put some calculated pressure on the body so that the body, when stress comes, can fight the stress. Do you see? Now, if you have this amount of stress and you have just this amount of exercise, you see that the amount of exercise you are doing is not strong enough to deal with the stress level that you have. Does that make sense? So, please, I am an advocate for taking the staircase. I'm an advocate for if there's traffic, come down, take a walk, right? I'm an advocate for when you get to your estate gate or your area, why don't you just walk from there? I'm an advocate for activity, move around, dance, right? But most people get very discouraged. You hear them say things like, Joel, I've been exercising for 6 months, there's no change. And the reason why there's no change is because they are doing a lot of physical activity and not, proper exercise. So please take the staircase, it's good. But if you want to turn it on exercise, we will have to modify it.
What is proper exercise?
So the way to know what proper exercise is we use different things. So let me use cardiovascular fitness, for instance. So in cardiovascular fitness, there's something we call the zones for training. And the way we know the zones for training is through your heart rates. So when your heart rate is beating at a particular beat, we know what zone you are in. So there are 5 zones, right? So when you want to work out, you want to ensure that you're at least in zone 2, Zone 1 is more of recovery, right? Which is about 50 to 60% of your maximum heart rate. I'm trying not to be so technical, but the point is it can be calculated, right? And so when you know, okay, this is the heart rate at which I'm supposed to be working out, by the time you're taking that walk and you say that you are too slow, you will know that you're not pushing yourself enough so that your cardiovascular capacity can increase. You then look at your watch and say, no, I'm not doing enough, and then you go. Now, if you're doing too much also, you don't look at it and say, no, I'm doing too much, and then you come down. You see why it is calculated? Now, that's the difference between doing things the right way or not. You see some movie stars, they want to go into a movie, they look this way. The next movie, they look this way. And you're wondering, I've been in the gym all my life. What's going on with my own life? It's simply because you're not using science with exercise. You're just thinking that because I'm moving, then I'm okay. Let me give you another angle. You take in calories, 500 calories. You walk 100 calories. You take in 500 calories. You walk 100 calories. Alpha. How many calories is left? 400, right? And you're like, I'm exercising now, but I'm not seeing the weight loss is not going. What goes up, gas come down. Except you're a rocket. Rockets will still come, right? So if you do it well and you say, okay, I'm going to work out. My basal metabolism is about 2,000 calories. I'm going to work out in the morning or in the day 400 calories. When I eat, I'll ensure I eat about 2,000 calories, right? So if I eat 2,000 calories and my normal basal metabolism is 2,000 calories and I work out 400 calories, what is that? Calorie deficit. Before you know it, I'll begin to shrink, right? So it is ensuring you know the numbers. They are, at the Institute of Exercise Professionals, all our trainers can calculate calories, meaning that if they put you on an exercise, they know the amount of calories that is. Now, if you do that with the food you eat and they know the amount of calories you eat, you can literally look at the maths and see how you lose weight. It's actually that simple. The problem we do is that we do oje koje. You know oje koje? You know, thank you. That's it. Actually, you just gamble around. You just gamble around your workout routine, thinking that that guy is doing it, then I should do it. No.
Well, and the next time you come here, you bring a calculator for our food and exercise. That's not what we're talking about today, because this one that you're already sounding like, if I eat cracker biscuit, I'll grow fat. Anyway, let's go to the heat conversation.
Yes, let's go back there.
You know, it's hot.
Yeah.
A few times, a few colleagues have, just gone, it's so hot out there and all of that.
Yeah.
And make it more interesting, electricity outages also doesn't particularly help and all of that. Yet we have to work out.
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank you.
Where's the balance?
Brilliant. I think the first thing to remember, and I think you already said it, is most of us don't even hydrate in the first place, right? We kind of drink water when we are thirsty.
Okay.
It's kind of the mindset. So the water I would drink is only when I'm thirsty. And God help you that in your fridge, there are other things there. And so when you're supposed to drink that water, you just say, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Just a few. With some ice. Mix it. Just something light. And before you know it, you're not even taking enough water. And then you're super dehydrated. So I think the first thing to start with when it comes to actually what to do with the heat is, first of all, there are many things. First of all, your clothing, the kind of clothing you wear. But I'm not saying exposure. I'm saying clothing. The kind of material, right, that is breathable is number one. Number two is that you know that you should drink roughly around, men should drink roughly about 4 liters a day. Women, 3 liters. This is not because you're thirsty. This is what you should drink, right? Your whole body is 60% to 80% water, right? Your brain is 80% water. Your muscles are 40 or so percent water, or I think more. Anyway, the point is this: you should drink water. Now, when you're exercising, then that is supposed to go higher. So the minute you're exercising, you should do about 5 to 6 to 7 liters because you're exercising. While you're exercising, every 10 to 15 minutes, you should take a sip. Now, there's this school of thought that that you shouldn't drink ice water or when you're exercising. It doesn't have any research base, so just throw it away. Put ice in your, there's this cola kind of stuff you can have, right? So that you can sip that. It will bring your body temperature down, right? So that you will see that you feel like going ahead, right? So that's kind of what you can do. Ensure that you're already taking your normal water. You wake up in the morning, you drink water and all that. And then while exercising, you have, water that is cold, and you sip that every 10 to 15 minutes while you're working out. That will help you. Now, having said so, there are different environments that we work out. You can work out in a gym environment where the air conditioning is on, right? So not everybody has that, right? If you're on the road and you're working, then there's a tendency for you to be hot.
You will be hot.
You'll be hot. Let me tell you why I say tendency.
That tendency.
So the fourth thing I wanted to talk about was the time at which you work out. The time at which you work out, especially when it is the season, it's a time where it's really hot. You should then begin to choose very early in the morning and late at night. I mean, I think that just makes like natural sense, right? You wake up earlier, maybe 5 to 7-ish. You do your workout before it gets very hot.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Add to that one of the counsels that you've given here, which is that intermittent activities at work, even on the road.
Yeah.
You talk about repetitive behavior here. Instead of taking a bus that short distance,
just walk it.
Walk it. It's kind of also helps and all of that. Doing that sometime 10 a.m. or 5 p.m. might be an issue if the sun is still, if the aftermath of the sun is still at play there. So that's the balance. One of the balance they would like you to.
It's just you doing the best with what we have. I mean, you can't really control the heat. So the point I'm making is it's hotter during the day than in the morning or at night. So for someone who doesn't have a controlled environment and can work out in the morning and of course later in the night or in the evening, that would be better options. So if you're someone who used to work out maybe maybe around 9, 10, you're already out and all that. That may be the options you can take. The point here is that you are cautious of the fact that it's hot, you're dressing appropriately, you have your water with you, you're drinking, and you're drinking water as you should normally, right? And then the time you choose to work out. The other thing is, professionally, we recommend that during heat times like this, you reduce your intensity by 20%. But you have to know what intensity you are in for you to say it's 20% you don't reduced. So I don't want to talk about that too much. But usually when it's too hot, your body's temperature goes higher. Even your heartbeat goes higher. Yeah, just the heat makes your heartbeat beat faster. So usually you kind of want to bring that intensity to about 10 to 20% of their capacity so that they can survive the workout. Okay. So those are some of the strategies we can use.
Now, help me here. Talking about Mothering Sunday tomorrow. Joke, don't look at me like that.
I'm not looking at you anyhow.
There's something that I have seen, particularly of women. Some in their midlife, some maybe a little older. Their hormones live at Lekki Gate. They're always protesting, always running riot. Is there a way that workout or fitness regimens can help people stabilize the erratic hormones like that of electricity supply?
Okay, well, I'm just with you from the part where you said, hormones and exercise. All the other parts, I'm not there.
Thank you for not being there. He shall be dealt with on his own.
This is your month. I don't know why you're looking for trouble. I don't understand.
He's actually looking for trouble.
So, one of the benefits, I say this a lot, we don't talk about exercise enough. And that's because it doesn't make a lot of money. Sorry, I want to shake some tables. It doesn't make so much money as some other alternatives, right? Exercise is cheaper, but we don't talk about it. Now, when it comes to, you hear a lot of people say hormonal imbalance a lot and all that. The problem usually for both men and women is exercise. The way the body works, we have the endocrine system. The same way you have your cardiovascular system, you have your muscular system, respiratory system and all that, right? Now, that system that deals with hormones works efficiently and effectively in the presence of exercise. This is like chemical reactions in your body. Those chemical reactions work better when you are exercising.
So they are more stable.
Yes.
Right. So I don't want to cut you short, but we don't have much time.
Yeah, go ahead.
What exercise should women and men in their middle ages
do
to
stabilize their hormones,
or to ensure that their bodies are in great shape, regardless of the fact that there are certain hormones that are in at that time that ensures that your midriff is big or your thighs are. Do you understand? We need those targeted exercises.
So very quickly, 3 things. Your rest, the amount of stress you have from work, has a direct effect on hormones.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So stress level, you have to bring that down. Part of stress level is your sleep.
Sleep, yeah.
Right? Okay, let's put that together. Your exercise, strength training, cardiovascular training.
Yeah.
When I say strength training, I mean you're lifting weights.
Lifting weights, yeah.
And you're not lifting old people's weights. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like I'm doing elderly people exercise or mid.
I have 3 kg.
What?
5 kg.
Wait, what are you trying to do? Is it like you're trying to look for me?
I'm just saying.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, sorry.
That's not weight.
I'm just saying.
If you want to lift up your son or daughter, are they 3 kg? They're not 3 kg.
Why?
Sorry, I apologize. I retract that. So the point is, exercise is for functionability. So you want to carry things. You don't carry.
But I'm not at 0. With 3 kg is not 0. It's at 1.
No.
But you said there's 0.
Sorry,
Even
your 3 is your 3 and your 5 is under cardiovascular exercise. Do you know what cardiovascular exercise is? When you're trying to.
It's more than 3, I think.
Your cardiovascular exercise is when you're trying to develop your heart, lungs, and how well your body transmits oxygen around your body. That's what you can put that weight under. Except maybe you're going to do flies or something a bit difficult. But please don't glorify 3 kg, 5 kg. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying strength training.
Okay.
Exercises that, see, by the time you are 50, arthritis does not know you. It doesn't know you. Do you know research says that for every 10 women, 8 of them have arthritis? When I go to speak in places and there are a lot of women, I'm like, all of you who have arthritis, stand up, and you're going to see that. People will be like, you didn't know. It's fact. And that's why women run from strength training and run to cardio in the name of it's for men. Whereas both of us have muscle. And both of us have bone. And guess what? You even use it more. You carry child.
Yeah,
When you are old, me I will not carry child. Because grandfathers don't carry child, they read newspaper. Grandmother will still carry child. And come down. So who needs weight training the most? It's women.
Thank you very much for coming.
Sorry, let me go.
Thank you.
Opportunity.
Thank you very much.
No, it's not like that. You are not asked questions.
To say what is
IRM, thank you so much for coming today. With these few words of his,
I hope we'll be able to convince you and not
for the home stretch.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Same to you. Same to you.
No, welcome back to you. Not him.
So it's a home stretch.
Yeah.
You must be wondering, what was all that noise before we came on? Joke, who are we talking to this morning?
We're talking to someone big in Nollywood. Let me fetch that. Niyi Akimolayan. Wow. Yes, there he is.
Good morning and thank you.
Thank you
She
for
didn't even tell
us
us who you are.
You did not give me time now.
You don't know how to do suspense.
And okay. Is it the he? Is she?
He's
He?
do this, he's that, he's that. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll.
You don't like
Please
that. You say I should not
welcome.
be rolling drum again. You are the one that said so.
Me. Where did I say it? Who said it? To whom was it said? When was it said? How was it said? Where was it said?
Where's my red pen that signed it off?
Your
Well, he's one of the big creative minds in Nollywood, and it's a pleasure to have him on the program. He's an award-winning filmmaker and the founder of Ant Hill Studios with over 15 years in the Nigerian film industry. He has built a reputation for innovative storytelling and high-quality productions.
Thank you.
Wow. And much more.
much more. I was expecting to hear award-winning writer, producer,
award-winning
director.
That's how I started.
Filmmaker.
It's all filmmaker. It's all inclusive.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
How's it been?
It's great. It's great. Apart from the obvious heat that is outside.
You say we are feeling the heat.
I know you are enjoying this.
One of the, having been in this industry for a while, one of the things that had given us concern in time past, after the Ogunde, Babasala, Adelov era, was good storytelling. We were rescued a bit by sitcoms in the 80s and some uncoordinated comedy also in the 80s and in the 90s. It's the entire entertainment industry in Nigeria, but more now because you are in the filmmaking space. How would you say we were able to make that transition? Is it because of the comparison? Is it because of the threats of Western content that came into our country?
Well, when you say transition, have we transitioned to something better?
I would say yes.
Yes. And so you're right. Back in the days, people were very limited, in terms of volume to what they had access to. I always like to say most of my filmmaking knowledge came, watching Channels TV films, after the 10 o'clock news, if you remember, back then, in the mid-90s. And that was really all a lot of people had, it was only rich people that had access to cable. And even in the era of the VHSs that we had, then it was still limited. It wasn't like mass delivered until the 2000s, mid 2000s, 2010s, where there were a bit more access to a lot more stuff, where people saw different possibilities. That was happening at the same time. The barrier to entry was getting lower for filmmakers. Equipment were cheaper. Digital took over. You didn't need big fancy cameras with giant lights to make a film. You can make a film with minimal budget.
Even with your phone.
Yeah, even now with your phone. Yeah. And I think that exploded and gave more voices, to the industry.
But it's more of the storytelling I'm talking about. Yeah. Any human can pick a phone. I have a 9-year-old. She can pick a phone and record. But it's the storytelling here that I think is quite something. But let me ask you a bit more specifically. Someone had said to me that we seem to have a challenge with telling our own authentic African stories. The Woman King is an African story. But as you know, Nigerians, or not many Africans, played lead, at least that we know, in that particular film. And there are a number of others. In fact, I'm hearing rumors that an American is being proposed to lead the cast of Things Fall Apart. So it's that storytelling challenge. Yeah. It's not that we are not good storytelling. Tales by Moonlight was not just a TV series. Yeah. It was our way of life. So what's the challenge there?
Well, if someone is financing a production from Hollywood, millions of dollars, and they are hoping to sell to an international market, they are going to rework the story to their taste. And it's easy for us to sit and complain about things like that, but if we're not willing to do the work and make the investment, then someone is going to do it for us.
Wow.
That's where we are right now as an industry. And what we're saying right now is that to really be genuinely authentic and be at scale, it's going to require a lot more than just sheer will. It's going to require funding. It's going to require structure. It's going to require distribution. And those are like really strong things that we haven't quite figured out yet. So you're right in saying that, the great storytellers out there, but what people fail to realize is that the audience taste, is also, it's juicier. Yeah. Now. They don't want they don't want an authentic Nigerian story that looks like what their parents saw in the 90s. They want it to look like Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Else they will reject it. We know this because in cinemas we know that Hollywood films don't even need to do any marketing. Nigerians will watch it. So it's easy for us to just say, hey, let's be authentic, let's tell authentic story, and we forget the fact that the audience want a lot more beyond that, and that's really where the challenge is. If we do not have distribution networks to ensure that these films make profit, then there's no incentive.
Let me ask you a personal question. What's your experience about funding? Game of Thrones was like centuries ago. The same thing I compare, permit me to to reference this series by Kunle Afolayan. Anikulapo is also in like some hundreds of years, maybe like 100 or so years ago, set there. Such films like Game of Thrones, I don't know if that is what you're also doing with The Valley of Hidden Treasures, will definitely costs a lot more than money. It'll cost a lot of thinking, a lot of repositioning, a lot of resetting, creating the 1920s, 1930s, 1900s, and all of that. What kind of challenge do you go through?
Those things cost money.
Oh, really?
Yes. In fact, that's really where all the money goes. And I think one of the failures of the conversations that we've been having around Nollywood is this illusion that, you can pop out good story from anywhere. No, good stories take time. Good stories take a lot of time to develop. It requires a very select skill. There's a reason why, you have just a select number of authors, even of books, that are prime and people you would consider these are the specialists in that field. When it comes to film, people expect that, anybody with a good story should just make a film. But great stories take a lot of time to develop. Time is money. And now when it comes to these kind of films, like the Nicola Pose and co, there really isn't any direct reference. Like, you can't just pop up a picture from
anywhere.
The 18th century
Exactly.
and recreate it. No, you have to imagine things. You have to build stuff that didn't exist. You have to think about costumes. Those are the things that lend authenticity, to these films. And those things cost a lot of money to make. So you might have a brilliant idea, but it's going to take a while to develop. You're not just going to hand it over to anyone to develop it. The budgets that Hollywood spend in films and series, they also have this extra budget that they make out for reshoots, rewrites. They might be doing something and they feel this thing is not working, or they get some feedback, and then they pump money into rewriting, bringing the entire crew. Again, that's why you get things that, are near perfect, in those spaces. And anytime we have these conversations, we need to say, the money is not just the money to pay cast and crew. It is the money to even develop the ideas, It is the money to make these ideas into reality. Sometimes it is even the money to just get good IP. Like, if you wanted to make a film about Fela, now, the chain of different processes you'd have to get through, because Fela belongs to, not just the family, it's a much bigger IP. So how do you even explore that if you do not have the right funding for it? So we always say, the conversation is very nuanced, but you must never say that you can do anything even if you do not have money. You're going to need to bring out the best out of all the segments, with funding.
Right, and when you go through all that stress, you spend the money, you spend the time, you pay people to research, you do so many things. How do you now ensure that the story resonates with the audience such that, critiques and reviews don't consider it a flop? Because because sometimes that happens. A lot of you spend resources, developing an idea before you even develop it into a film. You do meetings upon meetings to brainstorm, to do a lot of things, and you pay people.
Yes.
For those meetings. It's different from paying cast and crew.
Yes.
So how do you ensure that the story is such a brilliant idea that it resonates with the
Well,
audience?
there are lots of factors now in the world that we are now to get a film, to resonate with the audiences, and it's beyond just the story. First of all, you have to agree that there's a bit of a gamble in filmmaking. Sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes the audience just don't want that film at that time. You've had instances of films that didn't do well in cinemas but later became cult classics, even in Hollywood. That happens all the time. So you can't predict as much. You can never predict 100%. There is no formula. If there was a formula to ensure that audiences love a film, then we'll all be making the same films, right? Nobody knows anything for sure.
It's not like music.
Exactly. Even look at music, for example. Someone will come out, his name is Charlie Poppy, and he says something, and you feel that, what is this to my ear? And then the kids love it, and then there's nothing you can do about it. So there is a bit of risk taking when it comes to film that every filmmaker understands. But what we also know now is that when you push marketing properly, you might get enough audience, the kind of audience that will love your kind of film. You want as many as possible to come, because it also helps that the people you're making the film for are the ones who come to see the film.
Absolutely.
Because you're never going to make films for everyone. But if you do not get the word out for the people you're making the film, then you've cut out, where some of those returns can
So
come
who do
from.
you make films for?
Well, because of the nature of filmmaker that I am, I'm interested in everyone. Antil Studios is the only studio in Nigeria that has explored all the genres. We've done epic films, we've done animation, we've done stuff for kids, we've done science fiction, we've done everything, because we like to think that, it's the spectrum, for storytelling and even the audience is wide, and we do not want to be limited to a particular demographic or a social class and all that. So I'm excited about making films for everyone.
So tell us about this Valley of Hidden Treasure.
Oh, Valley of Hidden Treasure.
Is it an epic?
No, so it's a completely new thing. December last year, early last year, we started thinking about expanding the entertainment frontier in Nigeria. I mean, I've done film for years, but I wanted to try something. So we thought about reinventing theater. We totally reinvented the idea of theater, and it came from the way I thought about African stories. In those days, like you made example of Tales by Moonlight, people will sit and then kids will sit around there, but the kids were participating in the story. When you look at cinema, it's very one-dimensional. You only just watch and react. So we did a show called Forest of Talking Drums. Every audience member had drums. They had to play for the story to move forward. Leaves were falling whenever they called the spirits and they were playing drum. Rain was falling, on the set. There was fire, there was wind. It was really immersive. So we designed it as a concept called Immersia, which means that we're going to take African stories, but we're going to make every audience member be part of it. And it was a huge hit. All the shows were sold out. We had over 5,400 people actually come to see.
Cumulatively.
Yeah, so we decided we're going to do the next one this, holiday period, and it's called Valley of Hidden Treasures. Same idea, but even bigger. People are going to be in this huge cave, okay? And you should all come. And then they will take part. They're going to play xylophones. They're going to call, to the spirits of the valley. There's going to be a real treasure. And the interesting thing is that an audience member is going to go home with that treasure every show, and it's a lot of.
Is this a real cave or a built cave?
We built it,
right.
on set, and there's even more happening. There's wind, there's fire, there's rain, and people get immersed. There's even a big camel in the story that is going to interact with the actor. So it's a new form of entertainment, and that's what we're saying, that we should expand the possibilities, and we're also making sure it's family oriented, so your grandpa can come, your mom, your dad, and all the kids. What we did was to split the ticketing, so the kids is cheaper, is 8.5, regular
Right.
is 18K and all that. And because we did it last year and it was a huge success, we've gotten a lot of people say, please don't exclude kids, don't exclude our grannies. We want everyone to come together as a family.
Where is this? Where is
This is happening at our studios in Oregon,
right.
very close to Daystar.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that place.
You know the place,
Okay,
yes.
that place.
It's Antil Studios, it's plot E, Ikosi Road, Oregon.
So, I've always been intrigued by the challenge that stage had over the years. And with what you're saying now, And what a number of other people like you, Bolanle Austin Peters, and the rest of them are doing, trying to bring back the stage culture is a good thing. Now, what are the challenges that you think stage must surmount so that it can be sustainable?
I think the big one has to be to target a younger audience, because you always need that young audience energy. You know, the younger audience always prove that something has a future, because they are going to be there for, you know, a number of years. We need to be careful not to make stage elitist. That has always been the problem. It always felt like something for a class of people, and that's what we started thinking about. You know, first of all, we designed the stories in a way that are easy to digest for a diverse audience. We made the tickets, you know, we spread it out a bit, you know, so that even if you don't have, if you're a student, for example, it's just 10K with an ID card, you know. But ultimately, we need to make stage exciting for people. And I always say that for a long time, Nigeria has always just done one thing or the other, whereas our counterparts in Europe, they do everything. There are still circus shows, you know, in Europe, if you want to, you know, there's the Moulin Rouge, there's all these, you know, events that there are people who don't even go to cinema, you know, and they spend all their money at these activities. It shouldn't be an either or thing when it comes to entertainment. We should be able to capture all these facets. And we grew with theater in Nigeria. We need to expand it, because it's an experience that you can never have anywhere else.
Well, we could go on and on with you, because it sounds like we can just keep you here for another hour. It's just that I know that Mr. Adekalu is going to come after me. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
this
very
morning.
much for having me.
And we can only wish you the best. We hope you find the treasure you are looking for.
Well, we hope that people are good
unless
enough
that treasure is a SUV, the Lord be with you.
Hypothetical treasure.
It is not. It's a
No,
good
it's
treasure.
not hypo.
It's not hypo.
It's not hypothetical.
Please, these students, is MBA, master student, are they involved with these students with ID card?
Well, yeah, university, but shame on you if you are PhD or
Come
MBA.
on, yeah. Student is student.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Truly
very
appreciate
much.
it. Ni Akimolayo, award-winning filmmaker, all-inclusive.
All inclusive.
And that's the show today. Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your Saturday morning. Enjoy the rest of it. And again, happy Mother's... Oh, say it's Mothering Sunday.
Mothering Sunday tomorrow. But
tomorrow.
Yes, Mother's Day was March 8th.
Whatever.
Yes.
Happy Mother's.
Happy Mother's. Bye.